Good evening. The March 24th, 2025 work session of the Hillsborough Town Board is now in session. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Let's move to approve as presented.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Ellen, for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And next on the agenda, we have a reappointment of Shara Lawrence to the Planning Board for a 3-year term expiring March 31st, 2028.
Move to approve the appointment as presented.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, Ellen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and next up on the consent agenda,
Move to approve as presented.
Kathleen. Thank you, Evelyn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And we're on to number 5, in-depth discussion topics. And the first item, the main event for tonight is recognition of retired police chief Dwayne Hampton. So we've got several different items under this agenda, and I'm going to start off by reading a proclamation for you, in addition to the other things that will come after me. So I'm going to come up here and read this. Okay. So whereas we are here to celebrate and thank Dwayne Hampton for over 14 years of phenomenal service as chief of police of the Hillsborough Police Department, which he joined in November 2010. Whereas advancements during his tenure include implementing practices that have made Hillsborough safer and more welcoming, such as transparency reports, community summits, early adoption of body-worn cameras, and completion of North Carolina League of Municipalities Shield Services risk review, demonstrating adherence to best practices, court decisions, policies, and procedures related to high-risk activities. And whereas Chief Hampton has regularly supported and encouraged efforts by officers to build strong relationships throughout the community at a level rarely seen in police departments, and has done so by example. And whereas the chief has focused in concerning times on listening, being compassionate, and prioritizing resident safety, helping, as a resident said, to stabilize situations and let people know that they have been heard. And whereas Chief Hampton has invested his time, vision, and focus on supporting the town's officers to ensure they have had the training, support, and equipment needed to be successful in serving and protecting all who have lived, worked, and visited Hillsborough over the past 14 years. And whereas Chief Hampton has been a state and national leader in officer safety and training by instructing basic law enforcement cadets in a variety of subjects, was an early instructor and advocate for the Below 100 initiative, encouraging officers to incorporate key safety tenets daily to ensure they return home safe, and served as an officer in the Public Driving Instructors Association, Alert International, and a leader in driver safety efforts in North Carolina through a partnership of the Hillsborough Police Department and the League of Municipalities to start the Slower is Faster Train the Trainer annual program, instructing officers from over 100 agencies since 2013. Whereas under Chief Hampton's leadership, the Hillsborough Police Department has earned and maintained the confidence and support of the Hillsborough community, even during the most challenging times. Now, therefore, I, Mark Bell, Mayor of the Town of Hillsborough, do hereby proclaim March 24th, 2025 as Chief Dwayne Hampton Day. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Town of Hillsborough to be affixed to this 24th day of March in the year 20. Thank you. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. It's the opening act.
Is that a paid town holiday?
Ask Eric. So we want to give the commissioners a minute to say anything they would like to say. I will start by saying that we so appreciate your leadership, your compassion, and your dedication to Hillsborough. We are a better community because of the work you have done, the innovation, and all the goodwill that you have brought to the community as well. We wish you the very best in your new position. And I know you're from Virginia, but feel free to tell people that Hillsborough is your second home, because you're welcome here.
Yes, sir.
Kathleen?
Well, so I have not lived through as many police commissioners as Evelyn's. But I have lived through some interesting times of commissioners, and I can remember one of my early interactions with the board and HPD was, and this is going back, way back, when miscreant officer was a slumlord of a drug house. That the fact that we're in the same town where that occurred, it's unthinkable, and it's because of the standards and of the agency culture and of the commitment and dedication and love of this community that's permeated, and it's reflected in every single officer. And even in the tough times, we have never gone down on our hiring standards. And that is a testament to your leadership and the leadership that you have grown and developed within the department. And why, in moving forward, we have the confidence that this department will continue on, because of your leadership. Where we are is light years and beyond where we began with your tenure. It's beyond anything could have ever imagined. In your head, clearly you had the vision and the courage and again, that perseverance to pursue. When you came on, I was community volunteer in various boards, not on this board. It's way beyond what I could have ever imagined. And I would say that's even, beyond in the community. And because of what you've brought to life, it's a standard now that there's that expectation and culture that I don't ever want us to see take for granted, but so proud that it is accepted as the Hillsborough way. And thank you.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you, Chief, for the many years that you've been here. I know I'm newer to the board and I've just started to really learn what you have done for our community. The professionalism, the community engagement that you've brought, and as Mark and Kathleen have mentioned, just that legacy that you're leaving with the HPD is going to live with us for many, many years. And just excited though for your next chapter. And it's going to be exciting to try a different part of this whole policing law enforcement agency. So excited for you. But thank you for everything you've done for Hillsborough.
Rob, let's come back to you and then we'll save Evelyn for last.
Sure. Want to say thank you, Chief, for your many years of dedication to the town of Hillsborough and its residents. Your work here will continue, and you've set the bar very high. And look up here. And our expectation, though, is that that will continue. I think you leading by example, you being out at events, you being at community engagement events, and just being seen in the public and leading by example is just, I think, has helped all the people that you supervise and below kind of want to be that same sort of person. I wish you all the best in your next journey and endeavor, and I know and everybody that I come in contact with know that Hillsborough is a safer, more kind, more caring, and more compassionate place because of the work that you do and all of your officers each and every day. So thank you and best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Evelyn, your turn.
I don't know what to say to you. Except I wish that you weren't going, but since you are going, I know that all of the things that you have set in place will be carried on the new the rest of you guys. Done already? No, I do appreciate all that you have done. There's, I can remember, as Kathleen mentioned, you are the fourth police chief that I have had the advantage of working with, and you are the best. There's really not much I can say that they haven't said, but I do like all of the different, I like the cars being the same, as I've said before, and I like the equipment that you let them, that you provide in your budget for them, and the cars and everything that has improved. And considering, as I have also said before, when all the cars were different, they were all different colors. You can only imagine the police. Well, you didn't have anything to do with, well, you have had something to do with the getting the police department brought from Northern Bayview down here to Hill, next to the big police station. All that you have done, I have never heard anybody criticize you. And that's extremely unusual. So thank you, and I think you've done a good job with the people that you have hired. And there's I don't know, it's a sad day for me, and I'm going to miss you, but there are gonna be many who come to my call whenever I pick up and call 911 and ask for help. So thank you all, but thank you especially for setting the way for them to follow. And I think you've been a good teacher, and I wish you well. But I wish that you would stay in North Carolina and not go to Virginia. And I guess I'll stay in Hillsborough, and I will keep in touch with you if things don't go well, and you can send me a message. And I will say, you'll tell me what to tell them, or so they would listen. Thank you again for all what you've done, and for all that you have done to help me and the downtown and all of Hillsborough. There's not anybody in Hillsborough that can't say if they've asked that you haven't helped with all of your people. So thank you, and thank all of you for what you do and what you have done. And good luck.
Thank
you. If you want to come back, let me know.
Thank you. And thank you, commissioners, for your insightful and well received comments about, thank you so much. Next on the agenda, Major Simmons and Wynn are going to make a presentation. You can join us up here. Those of you who don't know, Chief is an avid hiker, and when I came to him, I said, hey, I gave him a list of things he couldn't have, but I need to know something that you can have. This is, he actually picked this out in a roundabout sort of way, but from the town's view. Thank you. And the pink paper was definitely intentional.
Very nice, thank you. For those that do I need to explain it?
Yeah, I would.
This is a Ruck Plate carrier.
Oh, wow.
I do a lot of hiking, and I'm getting ready to move somewhere that's really, really flat for a long way. And I have plates that I have carried in an old ratty knapsack that hurts my back, and this will allow me to hike and carry the weight that I want in this very flat place that I'm moving to. And prepare me for hiking in places that are not flat. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
And because last but not least, it's sometimes at the end of our career, it's nice to have something to commemorate that. And when you have as much stuff as he had throughout his career, you got to have a pretty big display case. So we're going to set it up for everybody to see.
This would come with somebody to help me carry it or.
You're supposed to hang it out, not walk around. for those who, sorry, but,
We'll spin it around
yeah.
momentarily.
Yeah.
But it shows that his career spanned 30 years from 1995 to 2025, starting off as a lowly officer in Durham, sorry. But he also did part-time work at RDU. And then, if you look down here, it shows he went from being a motor officer to a corporal, to a sergeant, to a lieutenant. And then Hillsborough was lucky enough to pick him up as a chief. And we wanted to put that as the most important part of his career. And if you guys get a chance, come look at these, ID tags. Pretty good. But, no, this is just a way for us to, when you look at this, I want you to think back on your career, think about your time with us, and, just know that we really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Can't take credit for putting it together.
Looks great.
Oh, well.
It's a lot of memories in that box.
Dwayne, what is the patch with the arrow through it?
Yeah.
We could
That
do
is that is the motor officer insignia.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, cool. So when he was a motor officer, he, you know, the chips, leather boots, leather jacket, everything, and that's this insignia they wore on their leather jackets at the time.
Way cool.
It is.
For the record, it's still.
Okay. About the motor.
This one right here.
Oh, that one would make sense.
Excuse me.
That's nice.
So what's on the top?
That's a lot of work.
Oh, a whistle, okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
whistle chain. So the Durham uniforms, you always have a whistle chain
Yep.
on for directing traffic.
And that is an actual whistle that I carried for 15 years in Durham.
Wow.
It was used quite a bit.
All right.
Are you saying it needs to be sanitized?
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Okay, next up. Eric.
Thanks, Mayor, for taking time to stand up. We got a good crowd in here. In honor of the police department and Chief Hampton, I wore my blue tie tonight, so thank you for your service and all you do. So I'm just gonna, share a few comments. I know it happens in law enforcement too, when you go through hiring processes, you'll go help other agencies do assessment centers and interviews. So as a manager over the years, I had gone through and helped other cities and places sit in on police chief processes. So when Chief Hampton went through our process, we got out and I was going, he just did the best performance I've ever seen, like in a 2-day assessment center of anybody anywhere. And usually the rule is like somebody's gonna blow up on at least one of the sections, but he managed to not blow up. It was phenomenal. It's like, how do you follow up on that? And I was just thinking about it today. It's like, you followed up with one of the best tenures of a police chief ever in the state of North Carolina. You know it, police department has worked with him. What you've done is rare and everybody else has covered it. And it's just so noteworthy. One of the things when people ask, hey, tell me about your police chief. And a lot of times police chiefs and managers don't get along. Hey, as far as I know, I get along pretty well with the team. And they also say that the number one thing that gets a manager fired is the police chief. So thank you, that fact that I'm still here for saving me many, many times. But when I'm talking about the chief, it's like going, I said, it would be very quick. I said, our chief is a combination of two things. He's an excellent strategic, big picture thinker. And a lot of the main things that have got accomplished because you have all been involved within the department and the community. And that takes a lot of time. Slower is faster when it comes to making progress too. Excellent strategic thinker, one of the best that I've ever worked with anywhere. But yet to me, he's still a street cop. Now you may go, oh, you haven't seen him out there lately, but he teaches these classes. He's, we see him out there directing traffic. He's doing things. He wears the uniform. He still understands what it's like to be where the service is delivered to our service, to our community. And you just don't find that combination. Now it's the right combination for Hillsborough. So just so grateful. And those are unique things. I'll in addition to just saying thank you for the countless things that you've done to help me and the town. I'll end it with a little bit of levity. Probably for the past 14 years, whenever Dwayne sees a text and has my name on, guess what he probably says, and it starts with O. And then me too, because like, when are we texting about, hey, everything's going great, I just wanted to let you know these awesome things happen. That doesn't happen, and actually the mayor is in that, it's the same way it goes around. So at least hopefully if you get a text from me going forward, you won't have the O blank response, so the same here. So, thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric. So next on the agenda is closing comments. So I can think of a few things to say, but I want to invite anybody else who'd like to say something to Dwayne or about Dwayne before we move on to hearing from Dwayne himself. Does anybody else like to offer anything? Diane?
Of course, I would say something, sorry. I just want to say thank you, because as so many have said, you've been a visionary and you've created something special here in Hillsborough. Hillsborough rocks. And it's because of a lot of what you've done, and I just wanted to say from the Orange Partnership, thank you, because you started off with a little competition with Carrboro to get that first drop box in with prescription meds. I'm not quite sure who got it in first. You did. I know that the sign that y'all had first is what all the other departments in had. And that has continued with your support of the alert. And I just want to say, as we compare other towns with Hillsborough, at least before COVID, because we know COVID really messed a lot of things up, all of our stores were really good about checking ID before selling. And I've heard even some stories that when somebody is really impaired and trying to buy something, they know to say no. And I think that comes with the education. So it's a way of protecting our community. So from that end, I want to say thank you, but I also want to share my favorite memory. That couple that was between Pittsboro or Hillsborough wanting to get married, looking for a magistrate. Do you remember that? And you and former Mayor Stevens welcomed them with open arms and just were like, we're so glad we decided to get married in Hillsborough. It also sounds a lot better than being married in Pittsboro. So, that was when you were just walking around downtown as our chief. Thank you.
It's a great story. Thank you. Any other comments?
I know. I'll wait.
No, I think maybe.
I'll wait.
Yeah, you go next.
No, it's okay, I'll wait. You go. Okay.
One of the things that I've really appreciated is, as Diane said, the support of the community and certainly, the work that's been done in Fairview. And while we had a good basis to work from, how that has expanded has been absolutely instrumental. One of the things that also another thing I really appreciated is, and as Eric had said, your strategic thinking, it's that because you're always able to see what's missing. And at the same time, seeing what can be done to fill the gaps. To me, that is one of your secret sauces especially when it's combined with deep empathy and compassion for people. It's something you don't hear about that in chiefs, but wherever I go around the state and even outside of North Carolina, they know who you are, and I hear about it. With your departure will mean the last time I get asked if they can poach you, and I always said absolutely not. But it's a testament to what you have brought to this community, what you have brought to this agency. And because of that, and again, because of the culture and tone you've set within the agency, that with the entire agency has developed along with it, it makes all of our officers folks that other people want and know y'all can't leave. And we're extraordinarily grateful for that.
Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, I think we'll wrap up with, Acting Chief.
Well, for those who know me, I'm a man of few words. But no, I just want to extend the gratitude to Chief Hampton, Wayne now. He told me I could stop calling him that, but it sounds so weird. He taught me so much. He hired me, gave me a chance. He poured into me when I asked questions. He wasn't afraid to give me some harsh truths when I didn't want to hear it. He shared with me he told me to never turn down an opportunity. And I really took a hold of that the best I could. And I just want to extend just my thanks for giving all of us a great career, the best years of your life, I hope. Hopefully more to come, but so far. Yeah. But no, just really appreciate you, and it's gonna be hard not having you here. But no, we're gonna miss you. Appreciate you.
So Chief Dwayne, excuse me, it's your turn. Would you like to?
I'll say a few things. I thought about preparing remarks, but honestly didn't think I'd be able to get up here and have a conversation. It's been fun. People ask me what my job was like. It's like, it's been fun. Thank you to the board, both present and past. You guys have listened. You've allowed us to do things. You've trusted. And that's a lot. I talked to a lot of my peers and they don't get what we have here. They don't get a board that's willing to listen, that will be supportive, will give us opportunities. Thank you to Eric for making a phenomenal decision a little over 14 years ago. Best thing you could have ever done. So well done. Well done. I owe a thanks also to the staff that I've worked with, the management team. Freaking amazing people. Amazing people. And our community. Again, I talk to my peers in so many places, and the level of support that we have, the trust, people want to talk to us, they want to see our officers, they want to know them, they want to engage. That's huge. And last to Chief Wynn, now Chief, not me, Chief, and the staff. I mean, you guys are amazing. This is what's been fun. And what you can achieve going forward, it's going to be awesome. So thank you. Well, very much. And seriously, somebody's gonna help me carry that out.
Okay, the last thing on our regular agenda tonight is Orange County 2025 reevaluation presentation.
Mayor, as riveting as that sounds, do you mind?
Yes. And meet us in the parking lot to fix it, please.
Really wants some help with this one. We got that. Okay. Somebody carries their. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Very.
You cannot believe in not being able to Calvin Orange.
Hey, good to see you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh.
What's that? Really joined.
Okay.
And I don't think I have your Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook.
No.
But you can get me through the tape.
Okay.
But no, I'm not on Facebook.
And which side?
Emily, welcome.
Thank you. Well, as you know, every 8 years, the town is required to go through a property reval. And typically we do ours about every 4 years, except for during the Great Recession when it was stretched out to 8. But Orange County has just completed our most recent reval. The last one was done in 2021. And tonight we have Nancy Freeman, the director of the Orange County Tax Assessor's Office with us, as well as Chad Phillips. And they're going to be presenting the reval process and highlights.
Awesome, thank you. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I just want to say I do appreciate this opportunity to give you information and to hopefully help you understand how this process works if you're not familiar with it. Let's just get right on into this. So, trying to know what I'm doing here. All right, there we go. So basically, the first thing is, what is a revaluation? It's a process of updating our real property tax assessment to market value and a present use value as of a single appraisal date. That appraisal date now is January 1st of 2025. If the primary goal of this is to equalize our tax base, and it reestablishes the fairness of the tax burden between properties. Properties change at different rates, depending on the location and property type. And what is included in a revaluation are residential properties and commercial land throughout Orange County, and also the permanent structures on the land. It does not include personal property, which is boats, mobile homes that are not attached to the land, unlicensed motor vehicles, and jet skis, those type of things. Those are actually reappraised annually. It is required by the North Carolina General Statutes. The requirement is for it to happen every 8 years. Orange County has adopted a 4-year schedule. This is a very simplified example of how the reappraisal helps to reestablish the equalization of the assessed values. What we're looking at here is assuming that we have 2 homes in the same neighborhood, and this is looking at how the market value of the properties evolves through the course of the 4 years between the revaluations. So for instance, here in the 2021, home A is assessed at $205,100, tax bill $640. Home B is assessed at $295,300 with a tax bill of $920. Both of these homes sell in 2023 for $320,000. So even though both properties sold in 2023 for this higher amount, the value stays the same for their 2024 tax bills. And this example will assume that the tax rates did not change either. So basically the tax bill amounts did not change. And as a result, home A is actually paying a property tax bill in 2024 that is based on only 64% of its market value. And home B is paying property tax based on 92% of its market value. So as you can see, that's not fair because the actual market value, what the homes would sell for is different, and therefore they're not paying their fair share for taxes. At the 2025 revaluation, both homes would be revalued to $320,000, and the 2025 property tax bill would be $1,000 for each property. So that reestablishes that equalization of the tax base. The residential properties are actually valued by our staff, our appraisal team. Each of our appraisers is certified by the North Carolina Department of Revenue. They must pass required courses and maintain their certification with continuing education that they do every 2 years. We also require that our appraisers attend a sales qualifying training that is offered by the North Carolina Department of Revenue, because the sales bank, or our sales, is what we work from to establish the values for the properties. The sales are either qualified as or reviewed and categorized as qualified or non-qualified sales. They're on links transactions. They must be between a willing seller, an able buyer, and a willing and said that wrong. Willing and able seller and buyer, so that neither one is under compulsion to have to make that sale. And that's what's considered a qualified sale. And what that does is to qualify in those sales is to eliminate any sales that are not indicative of a fair market transaction. And basically what we do, we have a sales bank, and in that sales bank, we've got over 8,600 sales currently. That their dates range from January 1st of 2021 through December 31st of 2024. And what we do is we use the 2 most recent years of sales to establish the values or shape the values for the revaluation. But we do have all 4 years there. So there's a situation where we don't have enough information to set good values for a specific neighborhood or type of property, that we do have the full 4 years to work from. How do we compare to other counties? Currently, our estimate is about, that Orange County has about a 52% increase countywide. We did a survey with, counties that are conducting revaluation for 2025, and the average countywide growth is 58%. The range is anywhere from 25% to 73% increase. And we had 22 counties in the survey. 15 of those 22 had a revaluation in 2021. And the average growth for just the ones who are that have just done a revaluation in 2021 is 53% with a median of 56%, and the range there is a little bit closer, it's 25 to 67%. And as you can see, having the revaluations closer allows you not to have as much of a jump in the value, over the course of the years. Mandatory revaluation. In counties with the rapid property value changes, and state law requires earlier reappraisals, the Department of Revenue monitors the amount of change in property values by reviewing the sales ratio between revaluations. Basically, the sales ratio is looking at the values that we have on the properties versus the sales that are happening currently. And if the sales ratio becomes too high or low, the Department of Revenue mandates that the county conduct a revaluation sooner. Orange County's marked growth in real estate prices since 2021 led the state to mandate a reappraisal for Orange County for January of 2025. However, because we are already on a 4-year cycle, we did not have to push our revaluation up and do it any sooner. But we would not have been able to postpone the revaluation had there been a reason that we needed to do that. And there were quite a few counties that were in this same situation where, we were mandated to do it. There were other counties that were in that same position because of the way that sales have increased so much over the entire state. Neighborhood reviews, in the last 4 years, we've done approximately 10,000 field reviews. This is about 3 times as many as we did for the 2021 revaluation. And that's basically because we were affected by what we could do during COVID, that there were restrictions as far as us being able to get out into the field. The field reviews, we targeted specific issues such as neighborhoods that experienced a large number of appeals, properties with a large gap between effective and actual year build, and commercial properties, also multi-address properties. This is a slide that shows you the county, Carrboro, Chapel Hill, Hillsborough, and Mebane, the values there. These are estimated values. These are not the finalized values that we have. And as you'll see, Hillsborough is about 49%. The county overall is a little bit higher, but it is a substantial amount for all of our jurisdictions. This gives you an idea of the median home values in the different jurisdictions. In Hillsborough, the median assessed value for a property is $427,500 based on our 2025 revaluation. And you can see the median sales price there is a little higher. So basically this gives you an idea. In Carrboro and Chapel Hill, you see are higher, and then Mebane is a little lower. We actually mailed the notices last week. We have people who started getting those as early, I think, as Friday night, Saturday morning. I know, we were checking emails, and the first email that I saw related to revaluation was about 1 or 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. So we had people that, got their notices and started asking questions right away.
Got mine.
Come on.
Yes, I haven't got mine yet. We're a little slower in Athens, so but I'm sure I'll have it when I get home tonight. In that notice, we included the notice
checked the
that
GIS
showed the
too.
valuation. Yeah, it is on the GIS. We updated that at the same time that we sent the notices out. We wanted to wait until that happened so that people, you know, once they got their notice, if they wanted to go online, that they were able to see the same information. So that was, and we did it that way. We included also a FAQ for revaluation basics, just general questions and answers. We did that in English and in Spanish. And we included an informal appeals form that could be used for someone who wanted to go ahead right away and do an appeal on their property value. And to date, or today, basically, we have received, I think, to count about 33 appeals at this point. So we do expect a good number of appeals. And this is just some basic information about how property taxes are determined. And this is, I'm doing this from kind of a county basis, but it really applies to the towns as well, this in the same manner. The total value of all taxable property in the county is called the tax base. And basically, the county agencies and departments submit annual operating budgets that are reviewed by the budget office and the county manager's office. The total budget is submitted to the Board of Commissioners. The commissioners set the tax rate, looking at the tax base and looking at the amount of funds needed to meet the budget that they are being requested to fund. And that tax rate is what we use to calculate the tax bills. And this is done when the budget is adopted each year in June. And as I said, this similar process is completed for Hillsborough and other municipalities. The revenue neutral tax rate is a tax rate that would generate the same tax levy on the county or town's new post reappraisal tax base as the county or town received in the past fiscal year on that existing tax base. And basically what you're doing is looking at how much you would take that tax base times what rate would give you the same amount of funds that were generated, or same amount of revenue that was generated for the prior year. And each year, counties and towns are required to publish the revenue neutral tax rate. And this is done so that taxpayers can look at that tax rate and see if the town or county is increasing their tax levy following the countywide reappraisal of your property. It's just a measure of transparency for the taxpayers to see. The county and the towns must calculate and publish that revenue neutral tax rate, but they are not required to adopt it as the actual tax rate for the coming fiscal year. And sometimes that's a misunderstood concept, so we want to make sure that we make that very clear. Community outreach, we have worked very hard this year and really in the last couple of years to establish good community outreach. We're not able to do a lot of that during COVID, so we wanted to make sure that we got information to all the people that we could and all the people who wanted to hear the information, you know, wanted to learn about the revaluation. We sent a press release out February 15th. We sent another one out last week, just before the notices went out. We've started doing some community outreach events. We've reached out to community centers, churches, civic organizations. We've worked with our community relations team in the county. And most of our presentations are basically what you're seeing now. They've got information on the revaluation, on the appeals process, tax assistance programs, and payment options. This is a list of the community outreach programs or events that we have scheduled now. I did leave one off that we have tomorrow night, which is with the Orange County Government Academy, where there are 15 or 20 people who sign up for that, and they learn all about the government, and we'll be presenting tomorrow night for the Government Academy as well. And again, on Thursday, we have, I believe that's on the list, Gaines Chapel in Athlone. We'll be having a presentation there Thursday night. So how can we help? We're the bad guys. We come up with these values, and people are not happy about that. But our customer service is the most important part of what we do. So, we want to make sure people know how we can help. The first thing is appeals. We've included an appeal form with the revaluation notice. The informal appeals period began when the reval notices were sent out. And that ends on April 30th. And formal appeals begins May 1st and ends July 31st. So you've got a good long stretch of time there for folks to appeal their property value. And the formal appeals are actually heard by the Orange County Board of Equalization and Review. That's a 3-member team that is appointed by our Orange County commissioners. And they hear evidence from our office as to why the value should be as it is. They hear evidence from the taxpayer as to why the value should be changed, and they make the decision on what is done. In the end, whether there's a change, whether there's not a change. And then there are notices sent out to let the taxpayers know what the decision is. Also, the taxpayers are meant to be at the meeting, and to present their information in person, and to be there when the board actually makes the decision on what the value will be. We're anticipating just about 2,500 informal appeals, 750 formal appeals. The appeal levels for 2021 were lower, just under 1,700 informal and just under 400 formal. But we do believe those were low due to the pandemic and the amount of increase that we are seeing. This revaluation is much higher than it was last time, so we do anticipate that there will be more appeals. And as far as appeals go, there are 3 sites that you can go to that are very helpful if you want to appeal your property value. The first one is to review the property characteristics. So called our real property search webpage. And you can go there to see square footage, number of bathrooms, number of bedrooms, if your basement is considered finished, if you have a garage, what your acreage is, those type of things, those characteristics of the property. You can also go to the Compa webpage where you can compare your property to nearby properties and nearby sales. It pulls up the nearby sales, and when you give it the parameters that you're looking for to bring up the information. And then instead of using the paper appeal form that is sent in with your reval notice, you can actually go online and do your appeal online. There's the link for that one as well. Another way that our office can help is with the tax assistance. There are tax assistance programs that are provided by the North Carolina Department of Revenue that we administer. Homestead exemption or homestead exclusion is one of the biggest ones that we have for the elderly or disabled. We also had disabled veteran exemption. And the third one is homestead circuit breaker. That is actually a tax deferral program. So even though someone who is in this program does not have to pay their taxes right now, eventually those taxes do have to be paid. So that's a little different animal and probably not the most popular one at this point. Another thing that we want to make sure folks know about is our long-time homeowners assistance program that is actually administered by the housing department for the county. And it's an initiative of the Board of Commissioners. And we sent a notification out in the tax bill to let folks know that they can appeal, or I'm sorry, not appeal, that they can apply for the assistance program. Housing reviews the application, they do the approval or denying, and they set the amount that is actually for each person, how much grant funds they're able to get based on their income, based on their home size, based on the number of people in their household. Once they've done all that and they've notified the folks that they have been approved, they give us the information on who gets how much funds, and we apply those to the tax bill. If that tax bill happens to be paid already, those funds are mailed back to the taxpayer, to the property owner. But that is done by housing and not by our office. We implement the money, but housing is the one who makes the decision and administers that program. How else can we help? One of the last things that I can tell you about is our payment options. We've actually put a payment coupon in our tax bill for the first time last year. And that broke up the payment into 5 monthly payments from August to December. And what that did is allow people to make payments and not have to come up with that large amount at the end of the year, and to get those payments in before the bill became delinquent after January 5th. So that coupon was well received last year, and we know that that's been helpful for people to do that. Another thing that we do is monthly bank drafts, what I've always called prepayments. Folks sign up in January. Of course, they could also sign up right now if they wanted to. And we do an estimate of the tax bill. We break it up into monthly payments, and then the person agrees to how much they want to have drafted from the bank in their bank account, their checking account on a monthly basis. And we put that on what we call a pre-bill. Then once the actual tax bills are created, after the rates are set, and those funds are putting on that tax bill, and then we send something out to let folks know, you've got a balance due, or, you paid us too much, or get some money back, whatever that situation might be. around October, that all that gets settled out. But this has been well received. It's a really easy way. It's a lot like having an escrow already, if you have escrow with a mortgage loan, so it's a very well received program. And the last item would be the convenience of payments with our e-payments. And you can actually pay on our website through ACH for a very small fee. And you also can pay with a debit or credit card, pay by Apple Pay and Google Pay. And the fees are charged, fees are set by the vendor that provides a service for us. And the county does not get these fees. It's all paid to the vendor who provides the service for us. The ACH is a flat fee of $3.25, so I think it's very reasonable. Debit and credit cards, Apple Pay, Google Pay, those are percentages, so it can be more, especially if you have a higher tax bill. But they are very convenient for folks who don't want to have to write a check or mail a check or come into the office to make a payment. And here's our information on how to reach us, and I'm glad to answer any questions that I can for you.
Thank you, Nancy. We appreciate the presentation and helping raise awareness of the process and how calculations are made and appeals and all that information. It's very helpful. What I'd like to do is go around the table and offer each commissioner an opportunity to ask questions. Rob, do you want to check over here?
Thank you, Nancy. It's very, very helpful, great information as always. I don't have a whole lot of questions. I'm just curious, and then you said it was lower in 2021 in terms of the percentage of it increased to. Do you remember what that increase was from 2021?
I think I might have that on.
Okay.
Do you remember?
It's, if you find it, that's fine. I can dig a little bit too. I'm just curious. I don't think it was in the 50s, but I know it was.
No, it was much lower.
Okay.
And I believe it ranged from 12 to 20%. Actually, in Hillsborough it was about 20%. Mebane was higher, but Mebane was doing a lot of growth at that time. It's about 44%, but overall anywhere from 12 to 20%.
Interesting. And then talking about Mebane, so when you said Mebane, is that Mebane Orange County? Is that Mebane Alamance? Is that both?
It's just the strip of Mebane that's in Orange County.
Okay.
It's a small portion of it.
So there's the rule or it's a law that municipalities not required to adopt the rate for next fiscal year, or are they required to within any period of time?
Are you speaking of the revenue neutral rate?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Basically, that's a rate that you're required to publish as part of the budget.
Right.
In a revaluation year, so that people can see how much it would be if you did not raise the taxes at all. Because of course, with the tax base going up, your rate is actually going down, even if you get the same amount of money. So that revenue neutral rate lets folks know here's where you would be, and if the rate's higher, then you know that you're gonna pay more taxes. Your tax bill is going to go up. So there's not a time when you are required to use the revenue neutral tax rate, but you are required to provide it. Gotcha.
I guess the last thing I have is, so if somebody appeals their case or whatever to that board, is that the final thing, or is there anything after that that's the
That's
final
not,
decision?
it's not the final. Of course, we have the informal appeals. We have some folks who appeal at the informal level. They get their decision notice and they say, I'm still not happy with this. There's still time for them to go to the Board of Equalization and Review and appeal as a formal appeal. So that would be their second. And if they're still not happy with the answer that they get, they can appeal to the state, to the Property Tax Commission. And that's a little different animal. It's a little more formal. But we do have people who appeal to the state, to what we call the PTC. And then we work with them at that level as well. And that's very similar. We provide evidence and the taxpayer provides evidence, and then the board, the PTC board actually makes the decision there. There is that level. I think there is another level above that too. But generally what we have we have a few that go to the PTC, and generally that's it. About that.
Lastly, just thank you and your staff. I think the information that you guys have put out this year is very helpful and useful. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And Nancy, like I said, thank you so much for the information. I have just one question. And that is the tax assistance items that you listed, was that an exhaustive list or was that just the top two?
Those are really the top ones that are often used. There are some other things that can be done, as far as exemptions, church exemptions, educational exemptions. Any other suggestions on charitable organizations? Builder's inventory, is another way that folks can get a reduction. So there are a few others, but those are the main ones. And, we've got one person who is dedicated to doing the tax assistance. She's kind of our expert at that. So, everything funnels into her. And then if somebody's got questions, they can say, okay, here's my situation. What can we do to make it better? How can we help you help us?
Related to that, I have a question regarding, because Hillsborough, we have a historic district and we have over 600 properties in that district. Number of which are 18th century properties, so before the revolution. Are there any historic preservation tax rate benefits related to either the County Preservation Commission or any locally designated historic district like we have?
Yeah, there is the historic, but essentially what it is the town has to do an ordinance saying this is a historic. And then once we get that documentation, then we can make those adjustments. But it has to be approved through the town first.
So that's in addition to the local historic designation that we've had since 1973.
Yeah, we can get you the actual statute, get the actual layout of everything to you.
That would be helpful to know. And I assume that your adjusters are appraisers are adept at understanding antique properties and the challenges they present. Thank you. That's all I have. Kathleen?
I mean, most of my questions were answered. In the main thing in terms of the long-time homeowners assistance program. I recall previously had run out of money or was pretty close.
There is a limited amount of funds. The commissioners set an amount each year, which I think has been 250,000.
And are they gonna increase it this year? Because I can see that being exhausted very fast.
I have not heard that they are, because housing works with them on that. I don't know. I have not heard of any changes yet.
And is there any, because I have not seen anything, if there's anything at the state level, because we have our homestead exclusions it is not nearly as good as other states. It's horrible. Any movement? Have we heard any movement at the state level?
I know we've received information a few weeks ago that there were some other options being presented. I don't know if any of those have gone through. I have not heard that yet. But we know that our assessors and collectors have been together to try to find a good option that would not hurt the counties, but would also help the people. And so, I know that there is talk about and there is some work going on, but there's nothing yet.
I mean, it's when I see this, it goes back to when I first got on this board and what we were facing at, when we've got limited supply, and the consequences of limited supply. And, that's related to, limited water, and it's related to single family housing versus density. It just confirms the things that keep me up at night on the affordability for people that maintain this community. I was looking at our median pricing is bad enough. Looking at Chapel Hill, and I mean it's ridiculous. Who the hell can afford that? And certainly not your average person. And it's just not sustainable as a community, and it's I don't have answers, but it's nightmarish. And I don't have anything other to say than this is what keeps me up at night. Because we're losing people who can't stay.
Do you have any other technical questions?
No
about the evaluation
questions,
process,
no.
or-
No.
And just in answer to that, that's one of the reasons that you see the slides that we've got, that how can we help you? Because we know this is gonna be tough for folks. We know that values increase. We know that the needs of the county and the towns has continued to rise, so that we know that the tax bills are gonna be higher. And, you know, what we can do is get the word out until people, you know, kind of in the words of the Durham County, administrator who said, start saving your money now, put some money away, whatever you've got, put it away and hold on to it, because we know the bills are gonna be higher, you know. And that's our job, is to provide that customer service and do what we can to help folks with the tax assistance, help folks with figuring out how to get it paid, make those, break it up into some payments, and, you know, all the things that we can do to, you know, if
Absolutely.
it's wrong, let's get an appeal in there and get that value fixed. You
No,
know,
I absolutely appreciate what y'all do. You do extraordinary customer service. You know, you have no control over wages and you have no control over demand. But this is what keeps me up at night.
Thank you. Megan?
First off, thank you for everything and just a list of informational meetings that you are taking your time to go out and get the community up to speed on what's happening is. I really appreciate that for our community. And just two questions. One is on slide 8, I believe it is. Ours is covered up a little bit by I think it's slide 8. It's the. Nope, yeah, there's this one here.
Okay.
So my question was, this slide, actually, in the next one for county,
Mhm.
is that all of the county, including all the municipalities, or is that just the county separating the municipalities?
That's just the unincorporated portion. Is that in that right, or is that? No, that's the full, that's the full.
It's a
It is
full thing include, okay, that was one of my questions. The second question, I don't know if this is for Emily, is what is the time frame for when we might look, get the revenue neutral number? And do we, what's the process for us? Do we just do that at budget approval? Do we change it then? Do we wait to see if we need to? Just hypothetical, if we tax increase, like when does that whole process happen? Because we have to do something with that number, correct?
Right.
So we do not have, I think Nancy and I spoke about projected numbers about a month ago. I know since then they have finished, yeah, they've finished the evaluating or assessing all of the residential properties. And so we should be able to get that number soon. And so then we can plug it into the formula and come up with a revenue neutral rate.
Okay, so that would we pass that in the meantime before we finish the budget, or would we just do that all at budget time?
But do they actually adopt? I don't recall. They don't
No.
adopt them. We just publish it like when the budget presentation happens in May, when we're passing the budget to you. There'll be a formula in the budget that'll show you how that was calculated. And it'll also be highlighted in the budget in brief, in the budget message and stated. And that's part of the transparency aspect, to say, it's basically a mathematical formula. Here's the number. And then the second decision that you will vote on is, where will the tax rate be?
Okay, so we don't do anything in the meantime before the final budget is, okay, that was my main question, if we had to do like a in-between change, but, okay, thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you, Megan. Evelyn, do you have any questions for Nancy? Thank you. All right, well, thank you so much for your information, your presentation, and taking your questions.
Thank you so much, and we'll get that information to you about the historic properties. We'll send you that statute information. I made a note, so but thank you for the opportunity to do this.
Thank you so much. Okay, committee updates and reports. Evelyn, can we start with you? Do you have any updates?
I'm meeting tomorrow night. It's been posted, we have a meeting tomorrow night. It's been postponed 2 times.
Okay,
So it'll be tomorrow night.
right. That's it. Any other updates?
No, I mean, we haven't had a meeting. We postponed it twice, so. I've already told you.
Thank you. Megan?
They had the UNRVA last week where we passed the budget in the meeting. And that was mainly the discussion. not a whole lot else. And Swag, I believe you were there. Was out of town for that one.
Kathleen?
Actually, my meetings, I've got, COG coming up, I'm trying to, the last time, I think, I said we had partnership meeting, going over his housekeeping pieces. And then we've got, you know, the, alliance meeting that's coming up this week. That's, and then just a reminder, City Vision's coming up at the end of the month. And I do have a heads up, I will be in Seattle, for a June meeting. And that's with, NRC, which is the National Association of Regional Councils.
June.
In June.
Meeting or work session, meeting.
It's the June 8th, that June 8th, I think it's the 8th, whatever that. Yep, 9th, sorry, I knew it was one of that, I will be missing that.
Is that it?
That's it for right now.
Okay, thank you. I just have one update, and that is, solid waste advisory group. I had to leave that meeting early because we had the joint public hearing here, and so, what I can report on is that we had a presentation about very interesting analysis of the waste stream for the whole county. Very scientific and represented Chapel Hill, Carrboro, Hillsborough, and the unincorporated county. And to figure out what is in the waste stream so we can help identify what can we eliminate, what can we recycle, what can we reuse. And they're making some tweaks to that report. We saw like a preliminary version, but when I get that, and hopefully this week, I'll send it to you because it's very interesting. Probably 40% of the entire waste stream doesn't even need to be in there. So, with composting being, you know, the most obvious thing to do with the, I think 29%.
Where are we? So we used to be at recycling like 64, 67%. Are we still at that level?
We didn't get into that
Okay.
part. I mean, it could be in the report. And the report is from a consulting group called BG Consultants. And it's fascinating. So I will pass on that information. Might
Because
be in the report.
Yeah, it was, because at the time when I was on SWAG, it was that, so we had diverted over half of our waste stream out of that. I'd be interested to see where we are and what, you know, not only where we are with the waste streams or going waste, but the pieces that we can still go, the information there.
I recall that because 9 years ago, I took over on SWAG from you, and I remember that was about the time of that report. We were very proud of how much
Exactly.
we diverted from going into landfills. But yeah, stay tuned. That's it, Rob.
Don't have a whole lot. Parks Recreation Board met last week and they are continuing and they're focused on the Riverwalk Master Plan. So lots of conversations kind of around that. I think Terry's gonna join us at the next meeting and talk stormwater. Maybe Brian also, there's a lot of utilities. Riverwalk. We had a new member to the Parks Recreation Board. It's the first time we've had a member from Collins Ridge, so it's nice to have some representation from new development towns. The new kayak launch went into Kings Highway Park last weekend. So and it's got extra tall, I don't know what you call it. The pylons.
I thought that it was pretty cool,
Yeah.
actually.
So hopefully the next big storm and flood that we have, it'll stay in place. That's all I got.
Thank you. And I think I should mention also that the Hillsborough Climate Challenge is kicking off in a couple of next week. If not already, so stay tuned and be on the lookout for information. The town is helping to share that information. So without further ado, we'll take a small recess and then we will go.
First
into-
move to go into closed session.
Okay, Kathleen,
Second.
thank you, Megan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll take a quick recess.